just give us your thoughts on the game first off.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go, there was a want for me to call a timeout pretty early in the game. I probably let it go a couple of possessions, and maybe I shouldn't have. I didn't like our physicality early in the first couple of buckets that we gave them. Yeah, and I thought, we really got the ball got stuck in the first half. Obviously, they had a defensive philosophy that they were happy to pack the paint and leave some people open, and we had something similar going the other way, and the guys that we were happy to shift off a little bit and shot the ball really well. But we gave them a lot of confidence to do that because they were already 10 or 15 up when those guys kind of started shooting the basketball as well. There's a 25-0 run there, and that's unacceptable. For us as an offensive team to not be able to counter it and not be able to put the ball in the hole through that period.
How much of it was what Sydney did, and how much of it was what your guys were doing? I mean, do you put it down to a dirty day, or do you feel like you've got issues that you seriously need to address?
There were some issues through that period, but I thought, some of those things were fixable in game if we had just let the basketball move and used each other. But when it doesn't move, and they were able to really set their shift defense and pack the paint, and and we didn't get to the foul line, we didn't loosen it up enough to go ahead and get some of those free points, where in the second half we shifted it quicker and we were able to find some driving lanes. We were able to get to the paint a little bit more with not three guys walling us up when we went in there. So I tried to put a little bit more shooting on the floor at different times as well. So it's certainly fixable, but there's some pieces that we're trying to cover right now. We're trying to cover Shea defensively, and you look at that and say, hey, Walton, probably kept him to the lowest total and different things, but we didn't quite get our coverages right early on that allowed him to make some really good passes and get some other people going. And we're trying to cover for A's rim protection and rebounding right now, and Mason's intensity. So I thought we were still had enough talent to go ahead and really compete and give them a great game today. So it was disappointing in that regard that we weren't able to step up. Our two best players were probably the last two guys signed today in Barlow and Lockie Barker were probably our best two players, and it can't be like that.
CG, how do you feel after a loss like that and after a performance like that?
Yeah, it's disappointing. Once again, our fans turned out. The front office did a good job of getting us a good crowd, and a really disappointing performance by us. So that's the word.
Chase praised DJ for his defence on you. Did you feel more heat tonight? Is that what sort of locked you in?
The same as every time I probably step on the floor. The way I'm guarded is to try and be really physical coming off screens, and I probably didn't do a good enough job tonight of loosening myself up. They've got a system in how they want to play and who they want to be super aggressive with, and who they want to dare to shoot the ball a little bit more. And the balance of that for us was probably a little out of whack tonight. There was, especially through that run, as Dean said, there was just too many one-out plays, myself and others just trying to claw back a big lead in one play, and that it doesn't happen and it can't happen.
As Dean mentioned, the offense did stagnate quite often. How do you get that moving again? Like, a lot of guys just sort of stopping in corners, and the cuts weren't coming. It wasn't like the screeners weren't coming. How do you really just get guys to do that more?
Well, we have to promote it. We have to buy in and realise that that's what works, and have to have a belief in our system. No, I'm not saying guys aren't buying in or we don't believe in it, but the heat of the game. Everyone makes decisions, and there was just a few early shots and as I said, plays trying to drag it all back in one shot or one play, and then it just compounded, and they shot the ball well, and here we are.
Dean, can you talk a little bit about Tuck? It looked like in the first half he kind of settled, and he has mentioned that he's obviously trying to get used to the way that in the NBL the paint gets packed rather than the G League. Can you talk a little bit about what he needs to do and what you need to do with him to get him going?
Yeah. He's best when we're playing at pace and we're getting stops, and we can, he can have some freedom of movement there. Tonight, that he was one of the guys that they were certainly daring to shoot it. Does he take that first shot? Does he put his feet in the paint? There was a couple that he really attacked the rim hard. There was contact. Does he not get those calls? Is he good enough to get in the paint and find other people when it's too crowded? And so, putting extra shooting around him in different areas, allows him more space to go and get downhill as well. So, it just looked like we didn't have the balance right to help him be good. But again, he's a better player than he was tonight, and he's got to continue to understand. If we get down, that we just got to keep trusting it and keep moving the basketball, and good shots will come.
You already mentioned Ariel covering for him. I mean, obviously that's going to be a season-long thing, and from the sidelines looking out there, the Kings looked like with Suarez and Hunter and Cooks looked noticeably bigger than your crew. Where do you go from here? And have you, are you still looking at replacement? I asked you this last week. Does it change your thoughts on it now after tonight?
I thought one area, Ice was much better tonight was his rim protection. I thought he really, protected the rim a lot better, and his on-ball coverage was significantly better. So we saw an improvement in that area. We encouraged him to be able to shoot the three ball a little bit more tonight, and those didn't go down for him. But we've got consistent, good minutes into him for a number of games now, and now we're going to start to expect more. We're going to start to expect him to start getting some doubles as well. And I think, the growth that we see in that area, we see JC get a double tonight, but. It's still one that we've got to continue to explore and to see what's out there.
Dean, I know you spoke about shooting a lot through the off-season, sort of building the roster, but you mentioned it tonight, and then with the ball movement, maybe shot selection. How does that all tie together? Are you confident, as you're trying to search for different lineups, that there is enough shooting in the group?
Yeah, when we make 18 threes last week, we didn't feel like it was but we knew, that was an exception to the norm about what's going to be for this team, and I think when we saw it in the second half, when it moves and there's good shots, it just looks different. So I think each one of those guys that was in the starting group or in that group on the 25-0 run, everyone probably had a moment where they took a contested shot where if they had moved a little bit more, we would have got a better one, and we'll certainly assess it.
From the outside, Xavier Cooks looks like really difficult matchup in terms of all the different things he does, whether he facilitates and short roll from the free throw line, all the things. Is it as difficult for you in terms of matchup and how unique he is?
Yeah, he's tough. Him going 3 or 5 from three is massive. You take a couple of those away and you keep him under 20, and you probably say, at the way he's playing right now, you'd kind of live with that a little bit. Obviously, they're putting him in a lot of on-ball screening situations with a guard setting screens, and how you deal with that one. He got a couple on Lockie Barker and a couple of guys when we switched it to get in the paint, and obviously if he adds that shooting consistently to his game, it changes everybody in the league about how they defend him.
Just last one for me. So with Shea, obviously he's a huge piece of what you're trying to do, and you've answered questions before, but it's obviously concerning how long this has been hanging around. Is it any closer, or?
Yeah, I thought he had a really positive week, so there was growth, and had some real positive things happen to him this week. So it's on the right track. I'm not saying he's going to play either of the games, the double game that we've got next week, but he's heading the right way.
Dean, you mentioned Lockie Barker before as one of your standouts. What did you like about his game today?
Yeah, I didn't think, when we got him that, he, because of the way he played at Frankston and, more of a switching defence, it took him a while to really understand, our commitment to the ball pressure and to fight over screens and different things. So I thought the adjustment that he's made since he's been with us was good. And I thought he challenged Walton tonight and was really active in how he, defended and got on the body and was serviceable in that area tonight. But yeah, his aggression at the other end and just playing with a little bit more pace and attacking and making the initiation of the offense that gave us a small advantage, and we were able to create off that. His threat from the three, I thought he had a real positive night.
When you look ahead to Friday, it's obviously a tough trip to make, and I imagine more so off the back of this. What do you look to do this week now in the lead up?
Yeah, we'll go back and find the positives in the game where we did shift it and we played together and when we defended the right way but we'll probably spend a lot of time on that patch as to say, hey, when we're poor, these are the things that we did when we're poor, and we've got to find ways to get rid of that out of our game. We came off a solid win in the Blitz against Perth, and hopefully we take some things from the game up there that can help us go on ahead and be super competitive over in Perth.